Hello everyone, we're back. We're back in this format. We're back in the studio and we are doing another top 5 video today. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 basses for around $500 or less that I think are really great. If you haven't seen the channel before, my name is Alex. I run a guitar and music shop called A Flash for the Gear. We focus on vintage and used guitars, basses, pedals, synths, all that good stuff. And mostly stuff kind of in the more like pro realm. We don't do a lot of stuff in the $500 or like under $1,000 range, but I still love doing these videos and talking about some things that I think are a little more on the budget side, but strike like way above their price class. We are spoiled with getting to play awesome music gear all the time, but sometimes we'll play like a cheaper instrument and go, wow, this is something really special. And that's kind of what these lists are all about, are what are some things that you should check out that maybe aren't as expensive as some of the others, but are still really cool and very usable instruments. Every time we do a video like this, you guys seem to enjoy it and also leave some cool suggestions in the comments. So hopefully this video will get the conversation going. We've got some cool basses that I'm excited to talk about. So it has come to my attention that only about 20% of people who watch the videos right now are subscribed and are really trying to scale up the YouTube channel right now. So if you enjoy what we do, we would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. We want to get those numbers up and we want to bring you more content like this. So if you want to see that happen, subscribe, comment, like, all the good stuff. I know everyone asks, but it really does help out and we want to do it up big. So we appreciate your support. You can also, of course, support by grabbing anything from aflashforthegear.com. We do this channel and we put a lot of time into it, but we are an e-commerce business first and foremost. So that is always the focus. So don't forget to go check out the site and see if there's anything you're into. If you do grab any gear, also don't forget to tag us on social media so we can repost it. We always love to see our instruments getting played. With all that out of the way, let's get into my top 5 basses for around $500 or less that you should check out. It's also worth noting this is not a comprehensive list, so please leave suggestions down below in the comments if there's one that you're thinking of that we didn't mention. Number 5 is going to be the Squier Classic Vibe Mustang bass. I love Mustang basses, and this is a really good example of one. There's also a lot of really cool colors going around for these right now. There's a couple different ones with competition stripes. There's an orange one, there's a blue one, so we love that. But these are really fun short scale basses. They sound good, they stay in tune pretty well, and I think they're really good for the money. So out of the box, these sound really good. I think they actually have pretty decent electronics in them. I know a lot of people like buying guitars or basses like this in this price range and be like, oh, I'm gonna go like upgrade the bridge and upgrade the pickups and do all kinds of stuff, invest a bunch of money. But my honest recommendation with a lot of these like Squier Classic Vibe guitars and basses is just keep them stock. If you're looking for a project, that's totally cool. I back buying something and modding it out. That's lots of fun. But if you're trying to get like the best value, I would honestly just buy one of these in a cool color that you like. Keep it stock, enjoy it for a few years, and any of the cool color like FSR stuff especially will hold its value really well. And later down the line, if you want to upgrade, you'll probably be able to sell it and get most of your money back, and then just kind of roll that into something a little bit higher end when you're ready to do it. I don't think the best idea with stuff like this is to buy it and then put a bunch of money into the parts. You're better off to just kind of spend all that money getting the best instrument you can. Yeah, when funds allow, maybe it's time to sell this one and move on to something else. And the best way to retain the value is just to kind of keep it as original as you can. As well as the Mustang bass, I also do like the Rascal bass, and even on the cheaper end, the Bronco bass from Squier. I think all of them are really cool. But I chose the Mustang in particular because it's my favorite of these. And if you spend a little bit more money, there's not like another Mustang bass out there that's cool. You have to spend quite a bit to get a substantial upgrade. We'll get to this later on the list, but with a jazz bass or precision bass, you spend just a little bit more than the Squier Classic Vibe. I think there is a lot better options, but with something in the offset series like a Mustang or the Rascal, that's kind of the best option in that price range, or even the best option for twice that. So I would check these out, and they're very cool starter basses. You make some cool lo-fi hip hop with them too. So my number 4 pick is gonna be something pretty old, which is the Peavey Fury bass. These are made in the USA from 1983 to 1998. They are obviously heavily inspired by the Fender Precision bass. They're absolutely nothing fancy. They're workhorse basses, but they have good pickups in them. They're made very well. They intonate and stay in tune well, so love that. These can be absolute road warriors. They are built like a tank. They can be really beat up. These can be played really hard and abused and toured, and they will still live to tell the tale, and you cannot say that about a lot of stuff in this price range. So I would definitely give these a look if you haven't before. It's just a good all-around, straight-ahead workhorse bass. I should note, these aren't super common, but the price hasn't gotten very crazy like with the T40 or any of the more renowned Peavey basses. These are still kind of flying under the radar, so if you see a cool one and it plays good and it's a good price, check it out. So pivoting over to something newer, my number 3 pick is going to be the Ernie Ball Music Man Sterling sub-series of basses, specifically the Sub Stingrays. There is both a 4 and a 5-string version that you can get for under $500. They're really, really great. Obviously, they are not as good as the proper Ernie Ball Music Man basses. Those are some of my favorite basses in the world. I love Stingrays, whether it's a 4 or 5-string. You love to see it. But yeah, these are really good budget basses. They stay in tune well. The humbucker pickup in these sounds great. They actually record like surprisingly well stock just out of the box for something in this price range. So if you're looking for your first bass and want to kind of skip something super cheap, this is a nice move that's a kind of one notch up. It's not going to be like a super pro level instrument. I'm not sure how something like this would do on the road for like 5 years, but I would say most people looking at something like this probably aren't looking to bring it out and tour it. So with all that being said, I think they're a really good value for the money, and you can make some great music. And especially if you're playing heavy music, this pickup will complement that very well, and these are absolutely worth checking out. All right, so my number 2 pick is kind of like my number 4 pick in the sense that it has been long discontinued. These are older basses, but I think they're really cool and haven't really gotten much prominence yet, so they're pretty attainable price-wise at the moment, which is why they've made this list, and that is the older Ibanez sound gear basses that were made in Japan, specifically the SR500, or if you can find it, an SR800. The SR800 is the higher spec version and is gonna be a bit better, but it's a little harder to find those for under 500, though I have seen it before. The SR500 you can find for $500 or less pretty frequently, and these are literally Fujigen made basses with great quality woods, great quality craftsmanship, good electronics, and they're just not that popular. I don't think they're very aesthetically pleasing. Like, they look fine, but it's nothing I'd particularly be after, at least as far as looks go. But playing wise and like utility wise, man, these things are awesome, and it's kind of surprising that they haven't gained value a little bit. There's a lot of basses that aren't aesthetically pleasing but play very well that have gotten quite expensive, maybe specifically some Aria Pro 2 stuff, but that's just my personal take. But yeah, I think these are really great. Like I've said with a lot of these, they stay in tune very well. These are truly pro level instruments that are just not that expensive. Yeah, if this is something you need to take out and play on the road, I'm sure it will hold up very well for years to come. Or if you're just looking for something to play in the studio that'll sound good, stay in tune, all the other stuff you look for, check these out. I think most of these have PJ setups, so that can work for a variety of genres, and this can be a great studio bass for under $500. I should note my first bass actually was an Ibanez sound gear, but it was not one of the Japan ones. And yeah, it lasted me a nice while, but eventually I want to move on to some other stuff. All right, so before we get to number 1, I'm gonna talk about a couple honorable mentions where maybe these aren't for everybody, but I still think they're cool and they're worth noting. The first one of those is the Hofner Ignition bass. This is just like the Beetle bass, violin bass. This is a newer reissue that they're doing now. Are they anything fancy? No, but they're cool, they play well. Throw a set of flats on these and they sound really good. We've actually had a number of these come through recently, and I'm always surprised that like they've been very consistently high quality across the board. And for the price, you really can't beat them. So if this is in the range of what you're looking for, check it out. If you're looking for a solid body, this certainly is not it. It is not gonna do the thing you want, but if you're open to something hollow, I would give this one a look. My other honorable mention is the Gretsch G2220 Junior Jet. These basses, at least out of the box, play really, really good. I haven't ever had one long enough to see how it would do over the years, and I haven't had too many used examples come through, so I can't speak too much to durability or reliability, which is why I have this on the honorable mentions, as I just don't know. But yeah, they've always been cool. Anytime I've got a chance to play one, they play great. The electronics sound pretty good. I'm sure it wouldn't hurt to upgrade them, but kind of going back to what I said about the Squier Mustang bass, not sure that's the best use of your money, but if you're looking for a project, these are cool, and I would definitely take a look at them. All right, so number 1 will probably come as no surprise, and I'll fully admit it is pushing the $500 boundary just a little bit. You can definitely still find these for $500 here and there, but in recent years, they've certainly increased in value, and that is, it's the classic. It's the Fender Standard Precision Bass or Jazz Bass, whichever you're after. This example here is from 2010, and these are really cool. From the mid-90s until 2009, you'll see them with the classic silver logo, and then for the 2010s, they switched over to this logo, but they're pretty similar. Both series of them are very good and they will get the job done. What I really like about these, as opposed to the Player series that replaced them, is they all had actual rosewood fretboards, and they just, I don't know, they had a little bit more personality to them. I could never put my finger on what it was. There was always something that separated when I picked one of these up versus one of the Player series that they started doing in 2018. These always just had something special. They just felt a little more solid overall. The necks were always a little bit comfier. This isn't really a good or bad thing, but there was definitely more variation from bass to bass or even guitar to guitar with the standard series as opposed to the Player series. Almost every Player series I've played has been consistently pretty good, but man, sometimes you'd find a standard series bass or guitar that just had something special going on. And I love that with guitars or basses or any music gear, because who doesn't love finding something a little special? I should know, we actually don't have one of these in inventory at the shop right now, so this is our tech Kaylee's bass, so shout out to Kaylee for letting us use this. They sound good, they do the thing, and they are absolutely road worthy. That has been proven time and time again. I see so many people take these all over the world. They hold up very, very well. They're very well made, and these basses are extremely simple. There's no frills here. They're nothing fancy, but they're solid. And that's what these are supposed to be. They're just the standard jazz or precision bass. Regarding price on these, a big reason why I felt comfortable including this, even though most examples we see are gonna be a little over the price threshold, is the new release of the Fender Player 2 series brings back rosewood. And I think the biggest reason why you saw these increase in value so much in the last few years is because the new ones had a lack of rosewood. So with the new line from Fender having that feature back, I'm curious to see if these are gonna hold their value or go back to kind of where they were like 2020-ish, where you could get them for 500 used all day long. Right now, I feel like market's maybe 650 for one of these is kind of about average. We'll see what happens. Even if you do have to spend a little extra, I do think these are totally worth it. Well, a lot of these basses in this list kind of tip to the line of a professional instrument or a cool starter to intermediate instrument. This is a pro grade instrument. It's very much the entry level, I would say, to getting something pro, but this is, there's a reason that this series in all forms has always been so popular, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. If you can swing it, if you can push to 500 or maybe a little bit more, this is my #1 pick, or the jazz bass equivalent if that's what you're after. All right, so that is my list of the top 5 basses for around 500 or less that I think you should check out. Please let me know down below in the comments, what basses should we have included on this list? What are some of your favorite basses in this price range? I always love reading the comments on these videos in particular, maybe the most out of like all of our videos, and just kind of getting the conversation going. I think we're gonna do a follow-up to this soon with the best basses under 1,000, as there's a handful of ones that I wanted to include in this list, but current market price has moved them up a little bit, so they'll have to go in the next video. But I'm also interested to hear your guys' suggestions, and we'll keep that in mind when we're doing the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff, and we will see you in another video soon. Bye.